everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another donor suggestion. So first of all, thanks so much for donating. And today we're going to be looking at the US Quidditch Cup 11 semifinal between Texas State and UT. This is kind of an interesting pair of storylines here. Texas State's kind of in the middle of its golden age. At US Quidditch Cup 10, they made the finals. They're in the semifinals this year. They'll make the semifinals again in 12. And UT's kind of building itself back up after all those years where pre-split, they were kind of getting pushed around by the club teams in the Southwest. And now they're back. They're going to go to the finals in this tournament and lose to Rochester. They'll win the following year and then be the #1 team all the way through in the year that we're just finishing up now. So, kind of excited to see where this game goes. This is post-slow ball era, which is how Texas State made its first final, or what happened in Texas State's first final at least. And also pre-zone era, so I think we're going to see a lot of man defenses here. So, we're going to look at the first 18 minutes. We're probably not going to look at much stitch on pitch play, and let's get into it. Bit of a chaotic start here. Texas State pushing the pace. And I really like that drive-in dish, so he's got so many options here as he's coming around this first tackle. He's got people cutting to 2 different hoops. All he's got to do is look off the keeper. He kind of almost, you can tell he's kind of pump faking something here. Reads the keeper, throws to an open hoop. And it's a good goal. Or maybe not. There's a stoppage. I think this does eventually get called a good goal. The scoreboard in this game is a little wonky as a warning, so it's hard to ever say when it is or isn't right. All right, so first UT possession here against Bludger Control. And just real quick, the reason I've kind of been putting off these US Quidditch Cup Pitch 1 games is the fact that they're just broadcast with these super tight angles that make it really hard to analyze. Like Nick Marino, the player with the quaffle here, is the only player in the frame right now. Like it makes it a very tough from an analyst's perspective, and I would have loved to see more from different angles. So UT is a very cav ball set, really these flat passes back and forth to each other, waiting for a no bludger situation, or at least to get bludger control, which it looks like they already got in this possession. High press there. Drive the other side. How is that a no bludger? What happened to the bludger here, right? So this is Hines here. It looks like he's going to pressure this wing. There's no beater over there. So I think he wastes the time to be... So this is a kind of sunken cost fallacy, right, for a beater. Just because you waste the time putting on this pressure with your feet doesn't mean you then also need to waste more time on a tap beat, which I think is what he's going to do here. And by going all the way out and tapping out the quaffle players, he creates a no bludger situation where there didn't need to be one. Because you're going to see how long it takes him to get back in the play. The only explanation would be that he had wasted time on a tap beat. So UT gets bludger control, they get the goal, they get everything they could have won it off of that play. Oh, okay, what is the game plan here? So you don't have bludger control, right? So controlled tempo is important. There goes 1 beater. There goes 2 beaters. That means that you have no beaters in the play. We saw all his quaffle players behind him. Where's he running to? You need to slow this possession down, make an attempt at bludger control, use a reset if you have to. This is one of the worst possessions I think you'll ever see at a national semifinal level. Literally just ran up and walked right into the opposing beater. We're going to stoppage here. I want to show something I don't like about this call from a ref perspective. So the illegal contact is going to happen here. He's getting called from behind, and the ref's going to call for advantage. But Marino doesn't have an advantage anymore here, right? Like, think about it. If you make this call immediately, he's going to get to stand up. He's just going to have one defender in front of him in the card, and he's probably going to have a good chance to score. Instead, you hold this advantage. He gets in this 50-50 on the ground situation, and by the time everything stops, the entire Texas State defense is in front of him. Now, will it matter? I don't know. We'll find out, but that doesn't make it the right call to hold that advantage there. He does score. So that rushed offensive possession from Texas State cost them the quaffle and then also cost them a goal. And then that's a late sub from Texas State too, right? So now their players are almost all the way up the field and they sub out a beater and a chaser. Again, it works out because they actually did slow it down. And this is much better. I love the ball coming to the wing here to make the... And he goes with the beater. Makes the life of the beaters a little bit hard. I really do like this. And Steven Vihel here played a ton for them the year before when they made the finals. Was a big part of those slow ball teams. He knows how to find space in the field and how to create. I'd love to see how he pays pressuring here. Someone needs to pressure him, right? Because a ref's not going to call him to delay a game here. There's a chaser here. There's a beater here. I think he's going to be allowed to get away with wasting a lot of time if you let him. I would love to see pressure because she's in no trouble. There's a beater here, but she doesn't have a bludger. So take the time and pressure this. She pressures this instead, but she doesn't really pressure that either. So now she's just kind of running her way out of position. Her teammate's alone out here, though I think he's going to be okay. And then she finally decides that she's going to stop pressuring with her feet and make a throw. And she gets very lucky that this ball bounces back to her, and I assume she's going to make another throw. Yep. And they are eventually going to get the turnover off that. But they only really do because she got lucky in the ball bouncing to her. I think that was the worst way she could have pressed those two chasers back there. All right, once again, ball control on Texas' side. All right, so I think this play has a problem of timing. So this beater is going to make his beat as this ball is being passed backwards. So one of the issues with cavalry ball is that everyone's always flat-footed, right? You're never hitting people in stride. So this is actually a pass backwards into the play here and low. So the beaters are ready to go, but the chasers aren't. So this is probably about 2 wasted seconds here because he's going to win this. He's going to beat the opposing beater, and I believe he threw back here. But now, because they're a few seconds late at running this, he's able to get back into this play. He went all the way back to get his ball and make this beat before UT could finish their offensive possession. And I think we're going to stoppage. I think we're going to get a call here. Let me look through this. So I think this is... Are they considering defenseless receiver here? Let's see. They do call defenseless receiver. It's a big call early in a big game. And I'm not even sure they know exactly where the card's going. Man, I would really like to be able to talk with someone, maybe Chris LeCompte, about this. All right, well, we were actually lucky enough to grab him right now, so let's talk to him. He is the man behind the YouTube channel, Mr. Official. That's MR Official, which I think are videos similar to kind of what I'm doing for strategy, but more towards reffing strategy, and I think they're super valuable whether you're a ref or not. Chris, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to help out any way I can.
Of course. So this is kind of, I think, one of the biggest calls in the game. I mean, this game kind of followed a lot of standard patterns, and it kind of hinged around this early game call. So I wanted to kind of take you through what kind of thought processes you'd go through making this call. So we're going to see the hit right here. And I can slow it down if you think you want to see it slowed down.
All right.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I was looking at this hit earlier.
Sure.
And when the player goes up for the ball, now once they leave the ground, they become a helpless receiver.
Right.
And even before they leave the ground, because they're going for a ball in the air, that's what makes them helpless. Being off the ground certainly helps make the ref make that call, but just because they touch the ground doesn't make them immediately an eligible receiver to be tackled.
Right.
And so when he hits the ground, it's I think the same exact frame of film is when he hits the ground is when the contact is made.
Seems pretty close.
Right there. Yep. He barely has his second foot down. There's no way he could possibly brace for that hit before the hit makes it.
Okay.
And it's a real tight call. And I usually tell keepers and chasers who are guarding the hoop that when they're going out for those kinds of hits, where they're going after a receiver, they're kind of making a bet in their head that that player will catch it and hit the ground before and defend themselves before I get to them and hit them.
Right.
And in this case, I don't think that chaser took enough time. I think that person was still defenseless when they got hit initially.
Now,
and watching it
go ahead.
Real time, I would say that they definitely have enough evidence to make that call here.
Sure. My second question would be, does it ever affect for you, and it's hard to see if it happens in this frame or not, but it looks to me like very briefly the keeper even thinks about a shot. He kind of cocks his arm for a second in midair. Does that give him any more ability to kind of know the situation, be bracing, or does that not matter at all to you?
I mean, he's still in the air. There's nothing to brace yourself against in the air.
Right.
He doesn't have like wings or anything that he can use to stabilize himself as he falls.
Sure.
So, like, that's why the alley-oop is so deadly in Quidditch. There's really nothing you can do except to block the shot.
Right. Now, the second part is in the way this gets... So he gets beat after the hit, and then there's a stoppage, and the foul is doled out. And the end result is they end up putting him back behind that hoop with possession of the ball. Is that the right allocation of that rule?
Yes. So, as per... This is kind of like a really short advantage is more or less how this can be dealt with.
Right. And
that player who was fouled gets remounted because they are the fouled player.
Yep.
So beats on everyone else in the play still count,
right,
except the fouled player. That player gets to be remounted, and they get the ball back at the spot of the foul here. So I actually had that question for originally as well, and then I had to go back, think about it, and go, yep, that's the right call there, is to give that player the ball back at the spot of the foul.
Right. And then you had mentioned to me kind of the length of the ref discussion, so do you want to go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so if you just let the play run, I can probably
good.
finish my point before the meeting is over.
Sure.
So the ref meeting starts about 6:38 in YouTube footage, and as it goes on until about 8:38, so it's about 2 minutes long. And one of the issues I see here is that this captain, I think that's is that Jackson Johnson?
It is Jackson Johnson, yep.
Yeah, so he's in that ref meeting, which is, I mean, you really don't want captains in your meeting when you're trying to discuss a call.
Right.
And this call looks pretty clear. The assistant ref, I think, is making it. They did have a better angle. I think that's Brian Nakasha. He had a better angle on it than the head ref did. The head ref was directly behind the tackle.
Right.
And so then the ref spent some time talking to the captain, which you don't need to be doing, especially at a nationals level tournament in late bracket play. You don't need to be explaining calls to the coaches. They should know how calls work and what fouls are.
Right.
Then there's this confusion about which player it is. That's definitely something you should figure out before you get out of the ref huddle.
Yeah.
Figure out which player it is getting the card. I think he ends up giving the red card to 3 different people along his way to figure out who it actually is supposed to go to. This is a ref meeting that should take only 30 seconds. I mean, you get in the ref huddle, the AR says, yeah, that's a helpless receiver. I think the goal judge came in too.
Yeah.
I think it was Kim Couch came in, gave her opinion, and they determine it's a helpless receiver call. They give the red card to the player leaves, they get a sub in the box, and then they're ready to go. This takes a long time, partially because they don't know which player it is, and they're talking to the captain in the middle of the ref huddle. There is a time to explain the calls, and that time is after the game.
Right.
During the game is not when you want to do it. You want to make sure you're getting that started again. And this ref minute goes on for 2 full minutes.
Yeah. And for me, I think really the biggest mistake they make, I think the ref meeting is definitely too long. I would not have a ref meeting this long, but at least, it is kind of a game-changing call that they're discussing for a long time. The fact that they then didn't, after that long meeting, didn't have the proper player, I think that's where you lose the most respect on field. For the rest of what, you still have to officiate probably another 30 minutes of this game. And the fact that you made this big call and then suddenly you weren't even sure who the player was, I think that is actually the biggest issue that goes on here.
That's 100% the biggest issue coming out of there. Explaining it to a captain's bad form, but it's not going to make you lose credibility.
Exactly.
Coming out there and giving the red card to the nearest player, and then giving it to the next nearest player, and then finally the right player. I mean, refs don't have time to look for their Cinderella. You got to know who they are.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Chris. And again, check Chris out at Mr. Official, MR Official, on YouTube. He's putting out some great content there. You have a good one, Chris.
Thank you. You too, Ethan. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, so now we've come out to the far side of the foul. It's going to be reset with the ball right behind the hoops, and we'll see what UT can do. I think it's going to be a pretty easy goal here. Good. I'd like to see his hand a little bit higher. As long as he's comfortable in a cocked position, he just wants to be quick about releasing this ball so nothing too bad happens. You can see how he's cocked. I think he's going to have a really quick release off of this restart. long stoppage here. Yep. All right. Perfect. So UT makes the most of it. So now Texas State is down a player, and they've got for 2 minutes no matter what happens. So let's see what they do, because they've had some pacing problems so far in this game. Let's see what they do to waste some time. I don't like the speed that he's bringing it up here. I don't like that early beat attempt that doesn't work out. So again, everything's coming straight from the front here. So this beater is never losing track of where the quaffle player is. He's going to make this exchange. The quaffle's not ready to go, and they're down a player, so why are they forcing anything here? Just pull it out. Like you do not need to force this. Just perfect. This is fine. Yep, I'm fine with that. I like that ball movement too. Just a nice beat. Real scrum on the ground here. This game has some real rugby-esque momentum to it. There are a lot of hard hits. I think we're getting a stoppage. I think we're going to get a card. So the question is, how did UT lose control of this play, right? Because they have more quaffle players than their opponents. So we can see one of his options is here, and then I think the other one is on this far wing. So Marino gets beat out here. I don't like the way that McBride is just floating. I think she needs to count on Parsi to make this hit. Because if someone was here, basically there's a lot of floating quaffle players here. Everyone's very, very tight. I don't know how this pass is ever open with this many quaffle players around. Parsi needs to be covering here, or McBride needs to be covering here. Someone needs to be covering there. Then that beat was also probably unnecessary. I think he read the angle wrong. You're going to see it coming here. Or she did. This is how he paced. No, she should have seen that tackle was going to be successful. All she had to do was run that down. She would have been able to tap it out. By throwing her bludger, it stayed no bludger, and then eventually they get the card. It's just kind of sloppy defense there by UT and kind of a hustle situation. And I think it's because they weren't really ready to play against... They didn't adjust their defense to the fact that the other team had less players, basically. And I think they're going to score a goal here. Yeah, he's nobody around. So Texas State gets a goal off of a player disadvantage. So that's a tough look for UT there. So let's see how they make the most out of the fact that they're up a player. This ball should really be going to a wing where they can attack. But see, I don't like that because why is this... This is my problem with Cav ball, right? Why is this wing flat? Why is he not ready to go? He's catching this and stepping back as his first move. That's not what you want to be doing in that situation. And kind of the same thing here. Like, Parsi looks like he's barely ready to receive that ball. Like, it's all very slow. And because of that, the beaters are able to pressure every single time, and they get another goal off of it. 20-0 while down on a red card advantage is or I guess 20-10 because they did score right off the restart from the advantage. That's a tough look. And now I imagine Texas State has to be getting back towards full team. Another good press from Texas State. Or maybe not. How did that happen? So one beater presses. Fields presses here. I assume her teammate has a ball. Where? Okay, so she can't press if her teammate is going to take the exchange because now she's out of position. Weird play. And I assume UT even got budget control off of that. Oh, wow. So this is a great press. So I want to show you what happens here. Because you see a Texas State beater run off. They clearly lose the exchange. Watch what these two beaters are going to do. So here's beater 1. Here's beater 2. They're going to run past him. They're not scared that he's going to score because they ran past him. They know they have some of the best defenders in the country standing still between him and the hoops. But they want to make sure he can't make the only right play he has at this point, which is a reset. So they want to take away all his passing options, and then they'll clean him up if everything else is already taken care of. And you can see even some of the Quaffle players are going to defend those passing options. So they're both going to literally run past him. And again, he's not getting through these chasers, and then they'll clean it up with a beat. That is a perfectly executed press. And exactly what I want to see in fast break, single pass, draw the defense and pass. It should work just about every single time if you execute it right. Good job there by UT. All right, so this time Texas State does get budget control, I think. Or maybe they're getting sent back to hoops. Nope, they didn't get it. And that's just a really lazy read from this golf player. He's looking the whole way. He has to see this beater coming. And I don't like this at all. I mean, the no budget works out, but when has your team gotten through this UTD at any point? You roll off this first player, you have somebody at the hoop here, and you have a wing option. You have to make this pass before you get into double contact, and then you never have possession of the ball again. That's sloppy. Outlet pass, I like that. Okay, it's not there. Just pull it back. Just pull it back. Just pull it back. Yeah, okay, perfect. That is really nicely done. You look to see if there's a fast break option. If there's not, you just throw it away. Or throw it back, at least. They didn't even have budget control, so yeah, really nicely done. All right, what? Where's the keeper? They're not still down a player, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is that? That's not a defense. What happens on this play? What is the game plan? I don't think this is a zone. And then the only person who's noticing is the point defender, which is going to let the ball carrier get a step on him. Maybe this was a defense that they were playing. This is weird. I don't know what to make of this play. But yeah, he does the perfect thing here, right? All he has to do is drive the lane and put the ball near a hoop, and either it's going to go through or McBride's going to score behind. Really nicely floated. Maybe a little soft as a floated pass, but perfect as a shot, obviously. Texas State just looks out of sorts. Like, nothing seems very organized, offensively or defensively. I feel like they give UT 2 points every time they score. I don't think they've scored 7 goals in this game. Okay, so what happens on this possession? So again, this is kind of the weird ways of this offense, right? Like, this cut should be going wide, because otherwise he's just drawing. Look at how his defender is being able to stay with the play because he's not pulling him out. And this is just flat and not going anywhere. Like, these cuts aren't... It feels like they only have the two ideas of throw to somebody standing right next to a hoop or drive. And UT is doing a good job of taking both of those routes away. Also, I didn't like just firing that shot at all. I don't think the risk reward of that was good at all. All right. Okay, how did that happen? I don't understand what this Texas State defense is doing. So this is a handoff play, right? I don't think Howie Pace beat anybody here. So this handoff play works because Marino here wasn't being covered by anybody, right? Because he comes off this and nobody's here, but then also nobody's guarding the hoops because there's the keeper. Here's, I guess, Malkite here was guarding the hoops, but I mean, she's not really long enough to guard much of the hoops there. Like, I don't know who in this defense is doing what, but UT is just getting the freest goals at the moment. And again, the pace feels weird here. You don't have bludgeon control. Why are you rushing? And and then they force it again. Sorry. And they forced it again here, right? Because this exchange is lost. Once he throws this bludger and picks this bludger up, which I think is going to happen. So once it's back here, now you can't reset it. Like, Vihel up top could have just pulled it out, used his reset, moved on with his life. Instead, by throwing it back to Reyes here, who's well met, I mean, it's just going to be a turnover every time. Like, I don't think Texas State has used a reset after the beaters lost an exchange yet. Oh, I don't like that from Parsi. Okay, let's go over this fast break now. I like the idea of this fast break. There's a couple things I don't like here. I don't like that K, the beater here, lets Parsi get in front of him, because that means Parsi's going to meet if K just runs up to their beater, he's going to force the beater to make a mistake, like 9 times out of 10. But because he's behind him, the beater can focus on Parsi. The second thing is he gets ahead of his passing option. So I believe McBride is here, Aaron McBride, and then there's 2 passing options behind him. And third of all, he's holding the ball in a way that he can't immediately pass. So because of that, all he can do at this point is take the contact, and he doesn't have a passing or shooting option. K blows up the play anyway. Yeah, they're going to get a turnover off of it. Regardless, it doesn't make it the right play. Cheeky little play there by Field. She's just going to take care of the female chaser because she was overcommitted and in an easy-to-beat situation. If you can take this without wasting time because the chaser came too close to the hoops, you can do that. But anything further from the hoops, you shouldn't be running out of position to do it, especially without bludger control. All right. So again, this defense, I mean, Reyes is just backing off of a player who I think is in the keeper zone at this point. They do have somebody at the hoops finally, but I mean, he's able to get a running start in the keeper zone, and he drifts a pass over to another unmarked player, the keeper. And McBride was beat on this play, right? We watched that. So UT has 3 Quaffle players here, and let's see if we can figure out who's covering where. So it looks like she's going to pick up Parsi as he comes in the play. The keeper's playing point. No, the keeper's just floating. Like, this almost looks like a bad version of the 2018 Australia defense, I guess, with like a floating keeper position. But instead it's not doing anything because nobody's being forced to do anything. Like, that cut should not be available, nor should that drive be available. Like, don't get me wrong, UT's moving the ball well, but it's being made very easy for them. This is better pacing. Give your team a chance to work. It's a young Tate Kane and young Kylie McBride in at this point. All right, I don't like that. I want McBride to go out further, right? There's no bludgers around anymore. Now, you don't have to throw when you make this press because you don't have enough support to lose your bludger. But why not take 3 more steps? He's never scared you're going to throw at him from here. If you step out to here, he might make a mistake and throw the ball the wrong place. Back here, he's just going to kind of chill, which is exactly what he does, and she backs off. Yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity. Because now Texas State can regroup and they can make another attempt. Oh, was that called a clean block? It was, and I guess this is when you could still throw a ball back to the other hoops. Well done by Kay. Again, I think that's poor awareness from Texas State. Oh, good outlet pass. John Anderson is running his outlet pass. Okay. Let's do good, bad, and ugly here on this play. So, first of all, I think this ball carrier needs to know that K's coming. Does he have an option? Maybe not, but there's no reason he should get blindsided by this beat because he should have been watching this interaction the whole time. So he gets blindsided. Great outlet pass. Johnny Anderson's always just taking off, like every time he sees a stop coming. It's so great to see. The one thing I don't like, though, here is just shoot from here. This bludger's coming. Like, it works out. I think the bludger bounces in the ground before him, but still, there's no reason to dunk this through the hoop. Just flip it through. Be a little bit safer there. Yeah, this is becoming a rout. And, like, ironically, it's not that much from the red card. I guess you could argue Donovan Mitchell's a key piece for them. Oh, wow. This is the Hail Mary attempt. Oh, and it works. So Texas State finally finds a way to score, and this is it. So let's see. Let's break down what UT could have maybe done differently. So the whole team is crashing, which is good. He has no options back here, right? Like, unless he gets by the keeper, nobody's going to need help. The beater's going to clean that up. What you need to do, and I think you just don't practice this enough to ever do it correctly, but someone needs to crash to each hoop, right? McBride should be crashing to this hoop. Whoever the qualified player over here should be crashing this hoop, and he doesn't have a shooting option. Your keeper just makes a stop, and your beater support him, because I think they even have bludger control. Yeah. I mean, hey, he still made a really nice shot. That's a freaky goal that you're never going to be that prepared for, but, like, it's a good lesson. So now Marino and Parsi are finally off the field for UT. All right, and then just another, I wouldn't even call it a drive. Okay, so let's talk about keeper responsibilities here. I mean, I don't know what defense this is that Texas State's playing, so maybe this isn't his responsibilities, but whatever. They're in some kind of a zone, right? This guy's never shooting from here. He is really far from the hoops. So number one job of keeper, I guess you could argue, is trying to block shots. But the second job is tracking that unmarked chaser. If he's tracking efficiently here, he should know that this release is never going to be a shot. So he should have half a step towards her already. It should be getting picked off every time. He should not be that slow getting to that. And maybe they're calling this off. But even if he successfully blocked it, it's going to be a goal. Even if he successfully blocked that doesn't make it the right play. He should have been intercepting it. He should have had that much time to get to the ball. New beater pair for Texas State. And again, another turnover. So why aren't they using these resets? What happens here? Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay, let's slow this down and look at this at half speed. I think it's a good lesson. So this is kind of a box, right? So what's the difference between the box offense and the diamond offense? In a box, you basically have two players flat up here and two people flat down towards the hoops. In a diamond, you have the ball carrier, you have two wings, and you have one person behind. The whole advantage of the box is if this play breaks down and this guy gets pressured, this player can just start sprinting backwards, and as long as you lob the ball back there, he's going to get to it. But watch what happens once this press is coming. So everybody watches this exchange be lost right in front of them, right? K makes the catch. Naraki gets beat. Oop, I think we missed it again. Here we go. Now see how he recognizes this foot's planting and he's getting ready to go back? He doesn't recognize. This moment is what ruins his entire play. He took one step forward when he took one step back. And sure, there's a lot of green over here, but K is going to be able to clean this up every single time. So now his only option as he gets pressured is to throw forward, and his teammate here has already Beater has already cleaned that up. And it's going to be a free turnover every time. And UT's going to run. Oh, I do not like that pass. And it's not going to be a goal. Or maybe it will. All right, maybe they score eventually on this play, but that's not the point. Let's stop right here. So he's driving in, right? He needs to draw some defense before he does anything. He hasn't drawn defense here. What his job is take about 3 more steps, get within range of Stephen V. Hill here, and release a pass to the player who's about to come in through the wing that hits about here and he can catch and release. Instead, he throws here. So he has to put the ball here for Michael Johnson Jr., I believe, to get to it. Which means by catching it here, he can't score immediately. He has to take steps, which allows the defense to crash. And he hasn't even gotten this player out of the play because he hasn't had to step to him yet. So again, ball should be here so he can immediately score. Instead, it's out here and too early. So the entire defense, including, again, the guy who's supposed to be covering him, crash onto the play and make the stop. You get stoppage, and we get glitching. Yes, this video skips a little bit at this point. You can see the score that's just kind of jumped. And we've just got a couple plays left until snitch on pitch here. So that's exactly what we were just talking about, the keeper doing badly. Look how much better he reads this pass. And that's more of a zip pass. So that's what he should have done the first time. And this is the Texas State offense problem in a nutshell, right? Look at his passing options. 1, 2, 3. They're all within like 3 feet of each other because everybody made the same kind of non-incisive cuts. Every cut here is flat. They're running literally in step with each other down towards the hoop that this player is already going towards. And the other thing I really don't like here is that he never gets his arm out. He stays tight the whole time because he didn't have to make a pass. He could have just taken this contact and then thrown it over him through this hoop. But because his arm is always tight to his body, when he gets wrapped, he no longer has the ability to throw. I feel like that a lot of sums up what Texas State was doing here. And they just take off the other way. I like the play, even though I don't think it ended up working. He misses it. Like I said before, this game is out of range. UT very, very slowly is going to win this game. Nobody catches snitch for a very long time because there's a good snitch. Cooper is one of the best snitches around. But we're not going to watch all that. I don't think there's that much to take from that. So we'll just watch, I think, this last possession before snitch comes on pitch. Texas State with bludger control finally. We'll see how they can use that on offense. Okay, somebody needs to be taking this space, right? Like, where is this guy who disappeared off frame so he can catch the ball right behind his beater and they can drive through this when he taps out here? Instead, they're just wandering over here and nobody's really doing anything. Okay, here we go. So that's no bludger, but Texas State has no ideas, right? I think 2 quaffle players is one, and I think there's a second one off screen. So he's trying to run through. He's got 1 quaffle player in front of him. You're not running through this UT defense. This is Aiden Parsi and Nick Marino. These are 2 of the best point defenders in the country. And he just has a flat flip option as his only option until it gets cleaned up. I mean, it ends up working out, but again, there's just no ideas left. I think he's going to get a foul there. Regardless, it's not inspired offense. There's no action to it. Right? Goal just gets scored off the reset. And I think the snitch is about to come on pitch. Yep. All right. So that's going to do it for us today. So what did we learn? UT won this game largely just on organization, right? Texas State struggled both offensively and defensively in their quaffle organization. Offensively, they didn't seem to have enough ideas, enough ball movement, enough good cuts. And because of that, it made it really hard on their beaters to even get bludger control because sometimes they'd go before the beaters even got to make a play. Sometimes they wouldn't create an opportunity for their beaters to make a play. And defense, I really don't know what that zone type thing they were running, but it was getting decimated by UT. And rightfully so. And UT wasn't doing anything that complex to decimate it. UT on the other side, I thought they did a lot of things correctly. You know, sometimes I think we talked about on other episodes, like, were there any signs that this team was going to be susceptible? I don't think there were, but I think it's because the Rochester team was just such a different style of team. you'd be shocked after watching this game to be like, oh, wow, Boston MasterCard is about to never get tackled by those point defenders. But sometimes that's how things go, and maybe we'll look at that finals game at some point in the future. But like I said, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks, everyone, so much for watching. Thanks, Chris, for coming on. Remember, Mr. Official on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, and have a good one.